Traditionally, builders across the country have always given preference to dedicated sales office and field visits when it comes to selling properties. Home buyers' mindset to feel and see exactly what they are buying and the trust factor of whether what is being marketed is the same that is being developed are the two main reasons behind it. It's not as if online sales don't happen. Development authorities across the country sell residential flats, plots, etc. online and people buy it. Having said that, builders too have quickly adapted to the situation and are changing the way they market and sell properties. We will talk to our experts of how they are trying to win buyers' trust and coming up with digital marketing strategies. I would like to welcome our speakers for the first panel, Niranjan Hiranandani, National President, Narredco, Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO, Tata Realty Infrastructure, Amit Oberoi, Executive Director, Colliers International, Anup Kumar Mittal, ex-chairman NBCC, and Mr. Murli M, chairman and MD, Shriram Properties. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. Okay, so
Very good morning.
hello, before we come to the main topic, I would like to quickly take everyone's view on how they are reading the current situation and challenges they face and solutions they are coming up with. Sanjay, if you would like to start.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ji, for your all the help and focus to the real estate sector. The central government has indeed made a lot of difference in every budget at every stage when the industry needed help. And I think forums like these will help us achieve and make this sector even better from all stakeholders' point of view. How we managing the new environment? Beside looking after over 6,000 workers for Tata Realty and Tata Housing, and there is a zero COVID case amongst our employees and construction workers as a result, and all our fellow developers doing equally good in terms of managing and keeping everybody safe. However, when it comes to business, our business has been completely disrupted because we are assuming the first half of the year there'll be no sale. We are assuming, even though the central bank has given liquidity finally to the mutual funds, NBFCs, the reverse repo has helped the banks to start lending to the sector in the corporate world. For some reason, our cost of capital has gone up, unfortunately. So we pay for delayed construction, delayed projects, no sales, and high cost of capital. So profitability perhaps at risk, or whatever they want, even more under threat. But we remain positive and hopeful that we'll be able to overcome these challenges. One area where the developer industry has put a lot of emphasis and investment is technology and digitization. So all our system and processes, from the stage of drone monitoring to CRM tools to building asset management, etc., everything is on digital platforms. The only thing is missing is when you ask the bank to loan, you have to put wet signatures on the document, and you have to stand in the queue at the stamp duty office, registrar office, to give wet signatures. I believe Maharashtra government has taken the initiative to do digital registration, which is very helpful. So a lot more progress required at the state level. I think on digital transformation, customers even close to real experience by using 3D virtual tours of properties, etc., etc. Just the way we've been able to successfully sell to a lot of NRIs, we are hoping that the rest of the buyers in a small way will transition into it. But all this, sir, will take some time. It will take 6 months to 1 year, and if we are hoping by then things will improve. But overall, the digital transformation and technology adaptation is helping. This recent labor challenges, because while laborers are at the site and have commenced work in many places, there is a concern that on given opportunity, they will go back to their villages, and we will be impacted not during the lockdown, but we'll be impacted for almost 6 to 9 months because of monsoons. And sir, in NCR, a National Green Tribunal comes during pollution time of November to January. So the developers lose conservatively 6 to 9 months of construction time, approximately 5 to 7%, clearly on cost of capital, and delay of projects by about 12 months. And because of no sales or less sales, another 1 year of sales period. So another 10-15% of cost. So without emphasizing too much on it, I just wanted to sensitize the audience, and I'm sure our fellow developers will put their point of view, and collectively we can come out. I think the real need of the hour is how to instill confidence amongst buyers, how to put the life back on track, and with the effort and support of the government, we are hoping we should be able to do it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, okay. Mr. Murli, how do you see the South Indian market in general has performed completely differently when it comes to when compared to North and West? How do you see the market there? How is it performing?
Thank you, Ankit, for organizing this seminar. I think it's really, really wonderful during this period. You were specific to your question. Uh, Before that, we see a terrific opportunity. This Corona, post-Corona, is going to benefit India quite a lot. We have already started witnessing big number of companies looking at relocating to India from China. I have been interacting with some of the people in the government, both state and central government. So the response have been really, really remarkable. The small setback what we have today in the last 2 months time is very, very temporary. And this is not just 2 months time. Probably this may go on for another 3 to 6 months time. As Sanjay was mentioning, I mean, 6 months is completely lost. But in the next 3 years time, there is a long way to go, and there's a terrific opportunity which is coming on our lap today. So probably, I mean, Prime Minister mission of making 5 trillion economy can happen much ahead of our original estimated time schedule, provided we seize this opportunity. Use this opportunity to best of our advantage. It has to be done by private developers like us and government together. So it's a joint effort. So far, it has been going good. Both government and the private developers have been working together in making this happen. We have close to about 6,000 laborers stuck in our standard in our project sites. We have retained them in the last 2 months time, fed them well, and ensured that none of them get attracted by this virus. And we have started the work on ground. Things are looking good. We are very, very optimistic now. The current setback, yes, there are some financial issues. That, I mean, every developer is going through some trouble. Maybe like, what RERA has done, what GST impact has done. So this will also eliminate some number of developers, is my view. Probably another 20-30% of real estate developers will move out of business, but remaining 70% can stay much more stronger, because the opportunity which is coming now is going to be huge. You talked about north, south, or west. So Maharashtra, unfortunately, is largely impacted. What I have been hearing from some of the governments, particularly in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, the large number of inquiries have come up for setting up industries. So I see a big potential for South to take a bigger lead. As you know already, close to about 48% of GDP comes from South. Now that I expect that to go up maybe to 55 or 56% GDP in the next 2 years time. So I see a bigger potential. So with respect to even our housing secretary talked about 1.1 crore homes lying vacant. It is not, unfortunately. If you take, there are luxury homes, and there are homes which are, way outside. And if you discount NCR, the number of homes lying vacant, particularly on the affordable segment and mid-market segment, particularly in South, if you take the unsold inventory with a good credible developers, it's practically zero. See, we have today, as we speak, close to about 18,000 homes under construction. We have got zero unsold inventory today. Like us, there are other credible developers which good branding, good credibility, good product mix, good right size of the units. they don't have any issue at this point of time. So we see a very big opportunity moving forward. Probably if somebody does well, they could even double in the next 3 years. That's the opportunity we are seeing.
Okay. Mr. Mittal, even before the coronavirus hit us, the real estate sector, especially in NCR, because of the struck projects for various reasons, has impacted the home buyers and also various projects and builders. How do you think that this situation post this coronavirus, do you think that home buyers will have to face their will have to wait for their houses for a little bit more? And how do you see the real estate market across NCR being impacted by this COVID-19 crisis? Okay, so Amit, how do you read the situation? We will come back to Mr. Mittal again. How do you read the situation, Amit?
So Ankit, it's not a hidden fact that the real estate sales especially is directly correlated with how the economy does. And the status of the economy right now is not great. We've had a shock. And I do see a couple of quarters of a little bit of pain in terms of real estate sales. And if I look back at pandemics that have happened in the past, especially if you look at SARS that happened in Hong Kong or in Canada or in the other parts of the world where they had impacted, there was a V-shaped recovery that happened, which means that there was a very sharp recovery that we saw in these markets. I do expect a couple of quarters of pain in terms of real estate sales, which will lead to a little bit of pain in terms of cash flow issues. But I do see a sharp recovery that will happen thereafter. People need to have houses. People will need to buy houses. So I will see that. What I agree with Murli as well is that we've had 3-4 rounds of filtering in terms of who could be in the real estate space. Low sales led to only people buying out of good developers, and all those here are people who represent that, people with repute who've been selling houses even in bad times. RERA has been another filtering factor, and then of course the NBFC crisis, because of lack of liquidity, made sure that the threshold to entry, you wouldn't hear the word fly-by operators very often now as you would maybe 6 years, 7 years back. So there has been this filtering that has happened. This is another reason where there will be a little bit of filtering, but I'm quite optimistic about how I see the market going forward towards the end of the year. It will definitely bounce back. It has to. And we've had it in the past. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so now coming back to the topic that we have, Sanjay, traditionally the marketing, when it comes to marketing and selling properties, builders have relied upon physical sales and sales offices and sales representative. But now that COVID-19 crisis has come up, obviously there were few developers who were selling and marketing properties online, but now across the country we expect that builders across the country will speed up this process. How do you think that do you think that we as an industry are ready for this kind of online sales when you also see the home buyers mindset of touching and feeling the properties, or do you think it will still remain to lead generation and physical sales will be the only way that actual sales happen?
I believe there will be a evolution over a period of time. Tata Housing recently hosted close to 2,000 channel partners event on the webinar, marketing our 17 projects across the country, putting up almost 4,000 crores worth of inventory online. And we received a very good response. I believe the role of channel partners will become important because we will use a combination of technology, tools enabling people to reach out digitally, but at the same time with the help of channel partners who will cement their relationship with the customers in terms of guiding them, enabling decision. Customer today has, and they have lot more to choose from. So companies will give this online experience in the most effective way with credibility, trust, brand, which will enthuse confidence in the buyer that they don't need to physically see it because Tata stands for a very strong brand. I know the product will be good. And by the way, there is a virtual tour of the apartment which is available online. And there is a broker with who you have done business with as a buyer over over a period of time, and you trust his or her, knowledge and insight and judgment. And on top of that, if we give a scheme where, for example, we launch a scheme of 1090, which a lot of developers across, and they say, you please book your apartment, but if you change your mind in next 30 days because of lockdown, you're not able to come, we will refund the money 100% back. However, if you are able to come and make up your mind, we'll proceed with the sales. So likewise, I think many other schemes are being rolled out. Beside this approach, the marketing teams are now drilling to micro details and doing more specific targeted marketing. So, earlier you could just generate data from Facebook and Google and just convert lead into a massive campaign to try your luck, and you have a 3 or 5% or 10% conversion. Now we're saying, how do we take this conversion from 5-10% to 20%, which means leads quality is much better. So I think the understanding of the digital space and the experience of the resources has actually helped drive performance from these tools. And I think this will only become better. To answer your question, right now we may have 10 to 15% of sales coming from digital, but there would be in a reasonable time period that we will reach 30 to 40% of the sales through this, and some of them may actually reach even more. I mean, Tata Housing did a campaign a few years ago where we did 60% of our sales through Facebook launch, by the way. So these things have happened in the past. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Murli, one thing that Sanjay mentioned was the trust factor. So, buyers need to trust that whatever builder is marketing, or is it showing through 3D technology or whatever, when it comes to online presentation of that particular product. When it is being actually developed, is it the same thing that will be developed? Because you see, when government authorities sell these properties or flats, builders, buyers buy it readily. But when it comes to builders, the trust factor is where that is the biggest hindrance when it comes to buying these online. How do you think, or do you think that builders are ready for this kind of online sales? Do you think that they have enough, they have do you think they have to do in order to lure back these home buyers and gain their trust?
Absolutely, trust is the most crucial part. See, that's where brands have a very big role to play in this market today. So without trust, even if somebody has got 1% doubt on the trust, they are not your customer. So it has to be 100%. Hence, the brands have got a bigger role to play, like Tata's or Shriram. They got a very big role to play. There are several good brands. They got a very big role to play in this, and trust is a major important one. The second one, we still believe, at Shriram, we generally do not sell it to investors market, very small percentage investors market or speculators market. It's mainly, end users market, which involves the frequent visits by the buyers, even before purchase. Some, customers even make 5 times, 6 times visits. So at the end of the day, it's a product of touch and feel. This is where they are going to come and live, particularly with us. So it's a major decision for every family. Hence, it's not just digital, everything happens. Having said that, what we have moved in the last 2 years from lead generation to booking, it's completely paperless today. So we use digital medium to generate complete leads now, and make sure that, and channel partners play a very significant role today in helping us in generating these leads and site visits. So until then, until booking, we made complete paperless. More than about 70% of our leads are digitally generated as on date as we speak today. But this year we have set a target. Even before Corona, we have set a target for ourselves. Post sales until handover, we wanted to completely digitalize the whole thing. So that's what we have set a target even before starting of the year. We are moving ahead with that. So I'm sure we'll be able to get that right. That will help us in saving our time, our people time. So rather than engaging with customers, it's a real-time engagement they can do, with a relationship engagement they can do. So that's a big opportunity what we are seeing. Having said that, it's just not the technology. People are also obsessed with a lot of technology. And for example, many people carry very costly phone. I don't think it is required, because they do not use even 1% of the technology. It's waste of money. As an organization, we cannot afford to waste so much money. So whatever the money we spend on technology, it's not just good to have some technology. See, a lot of people are moving in the construction technology sites and all that. See, by establishing CCTV camera, you're not going to get the security right. So you need to do quite a lot of other things. So you need to train people, all that. So we are focusing on, this year, what all can be done to make sure that whatever the money we spend on digital technology, the effort should be there. Otherwise, it'll be just a show of peace. People will not buy that argument at a later date. They will go back. So you can show good AR and VR. People will come and see wow factor. But when they do not get that experience, they will not do it. And just giving that is not going to lure customers. It's not fair also. I think, we need to use this digital medium wherever we spend money. It has to have the impact. That's very, very important. So that's where we are focusing now.
So Mittal, how do you think, I will come to my original question, how do you think that the stuck projects, especially in the NCR region and the overall, which has impacted the home buyers, do you think that because of this, the COVID-19 crisis, they will have to wait a little bit more? Or how do you see the real estate market, especially in the NCR region?
You see, Ankit, first of all, thank you for inviting me in this webinar. You see, I see this situation is something which nobody has thought ever. And the now first question is survival in this present condition. And of course, opportunity thing will come separately or later on. In my opinion, the first thing you have to see how the real estate developers will survive in these conditions. So this is a really very bad situation. And same time, on survival, I will say how you will keep your existing buyers with you. It's not how you will add new buyers, because you see, because of this whole economic problem, a lot of people will lose their job. They may have booked affordable housing with the developers. They may not be able to pay the EMI. They may not be able to, continue with the buying. So first question is how we have to survive in this condition. And of course, NCR is a most difficult area for the developers, whether you take Delhi, Gurgaon, or Noida, or Greater Noida. More than 500 lakh housing stock is still available, and 30-40% is totally built up and ready to move in. Even people are not able to go into that, because either they are not having sufficient infrastructure there or their services. So, but when I was in NBCC, that time also I proposed, of course, Mr. Mishra is not here. Government of India is saying that they want to give housing for everybody by 2022. And they have launched so many schemes for that. And I propose that why don't you buy the properties which are already available in these areas, whether NCR or Bombay or any other places, with the developers. You are launching different schemes. You are saying that we are financing that. Government is spending budget on that. If they buy some stock of, say, Mr. Murli or Sanjay or Niranjan, so they will find two-way solution for that. They will find, housing for their stock, for affordable housing. And second, they will bail out the developers also. And same time, for commercial spaces, we have plenty of commercial spaces available, either fully furnished or in between incomplete. Government is spending a lot of money to provide office complex for income tax department, for paramilitary forces. They have thousands of crore rupees budget every year. Why they are not purchasing these spaces? Why they are allocating fund for these department to purchase the land and for construction of other things? Now time is, in my opinion, number one, survival, and to see that how government can help these developers by providing this kind of help.
Jen, thank you for joining us. How do you see the real estate market in Mumbai and overall across the country, especially because of the impact of the coronavirus and the subsequent lockdown? Do you see that obviously the sales would be less in comparison to what was happening before? But what are the other challenges that builders are going through, and what are the solution, if any, that builders are coming up with?
I think the issue is quite simple. There are three aspects of it. The first aspect of it is in the last 2 years, anyway, real estate was going through a crisis. And I think we hadn't really come out of it completely. Mr. Mittal, Sanjay, Murli, and Amit have already explained about what are the challenges as far as those are concerned. The issue is now we can't wish away whatever has happened or what is happening. Mr. Mittal just mentioned about innovative way that you need to think through in terms of the government intervention. Mr. Sanjay explained very clearly how we can do innovative marketing. There's a question of branding, but the question is that the overall economic scene needs to be taken care of. Two things are definitely very seriously to be intervened by the government and not by individual developers. First and foremost, the liquidity which is not there in the economy. So they definitely need, and I'm not talking about the big guys who are here, I'm talking about across the board. 97% of the people have a liquidity crisis. Unless this 7 lakh crores, which are now lying in reverse repo with the Reserve Bank of India, is not put out into the market, whether with a credit guarantee scheme or any other method, there is no way real estate is going to come back to normal. Forget real estate, no business is going to come back to normal. So it's not only about the real estate as a business, but they really need to do it. The second, do we need a stimulus package? Do we not need a stimulus package? Okay, we in the industry have been asking that we need stimulus package. In ASSOCHAM, I've asked for 14 lakh crores. FICCI has asked for 16 lakh crores. However, it's very controversial what the speaker should do. Luckily for us, Niti Aayog now talks about 10 lakh crores. So we'll accept the fact that 10 lakh crores is correct and we may not be correct. But the total amount given by the government in stimulus package is only 0.7 lakh crores. So I think that's the second thing that we need to do. The third thing that we need to do is that government must keep its commitment. Today, there is a missing element. Today, if you see the dues of the government in refund of IT, refund of GST, NHAI payment, DISCOM payments, fertilizer payments, state government commitments, almost 3 lakh crores are pending. Forget the stimulus package. Don't give it. At least make the commitment of payments that you have already done. If you don't get liquidity into the market, you can't approve. Now coming to your specific question, sorry I went roundabout to your question. The question of the real estate market in the Mumbai region. The Mumbai region market will come back to normal. You will see that a large amount of construction, which is unsold, is actually under construction. So the finished product is very little. That's contrary to what people are talking about. Unlike the northern region, where we have a huge amount of product which is even ready and unsold, in Mumbai region, Mumbai metropolitan region, there is a huge amount of stock under construction. That I agree with all the other reputed members of the panel. It's a question of trust and faith. So unless you don't have companies with trust and faith being there, people are not sure. With all the construction workers now being encouraged to go back to the villages, where are the construction workers who are going to be remaining on the sites to continue to work? So I think somewhere down the line, these policies need to be clear as to what is the intent of government in terms of opening up after lockdown. Lockdown, we have understood, but opening up after lockdown is something that we need to see. And this is something which is going to be critical. I am very bullish. What all of them have said, I am bullish. I'm bullish in the long run that real estate industry is going to grow. People have understood in this lockdown condition that your home is very important. and you have to have a home which fits your stay and remaining. If two people are working, they will need 2 rooms to work from their homes. So 2 rooms for them to operate from. So I'm not worried about the long-term issue. But can we survive the short term is a crisis which I think all the people agree on. I think Mr. Mittal explained it very clearly that government needs to have an innovative intervention in terms of creation of demand, either to buy these products or to cut GST by 50% or any other method in order that demand should be there. So while industry is responsible, and as Mr. Durga Shankar Prasad very clearly said, that the industry has taken this responsibility very, very well, and we promise that we will take care of the situation. I think government intervention is still far away from what it needs to be. So we need much more intervention in terms of the finance ministry, the RBI intervention, working towards a credit guarantee scheme for further lending, and to see that the roadmap of opening up is made very clear. Because we can't have every week some statement coming that it's now going to be extended by 2 weeks. We need to have a roadmap which is pretty clear as to how we are going to operate. This cannot be a hold off situation, because industry cannot work like that, and especially not manufacturing. In real estate, at least we have some flexibility on that, and though not much, but still, I think if you really want industry to come back, okay, it has happened in China, we need a clear-cut roadmap in order to see this. I know it sounds a little difficult because government will have to make its roadmap very, very clear, which has not yet come out, including the funding and financing and the liquidity issue that we need to do. But real estate will do very well in the long term, I am very sure, but you need to survive the long term. You have to survive the short term to reach the long term.
Right, right. Amit, I will come to you. So digital marketing strategies, or in general overall use of technology, while they exist for a long time, very few builders or top builders in top cities have adopted it. Do you think that this situation will force, or is a chance for builders across the country in smaller cities, tier 2 cities like Jaipur, Nagpur, or other cities, to adopt these kind of technologies quickly and then utilize efficiently and increase their productivity? Or do you think in a longer duration, because that situation will improve in coming time, the physical sales is the only way the builders will look at?
So, Ankit, to answer your question, I would not link it with COVID. What was it happening and what has been happening for a very long period of time is that before anyone buys a house, I'm sorry, there's a lot of echo in the background. So before anyone buys the house, yeah, most of the people were doing most of their research online. So people would go on the various websites or the various aggregators that you have in the market and look at what is there in the market, what is available, compare the products, look at the specifications, look at, read what others have written about that project and the developer and so on and forth. So people were already doing that, and that is only going to increase. What the current situation has done, and I'm sure I was talking to someone at Magic Bricks and others, the number of people going to their website has increased because you have more time now to be able to go online and look at these sites. So it is a good time to be marketing your project. It is a good time for people to start adapting. I truly believe that we are all very resilient. There are challenges and we will adapt to these challenges. And one of the ways for people to adapt, and not just for this 6 months, maybe 9 months of COVID crisis, but in the longer run, one has to have a digital presence. People will go there. Will 100% of the sales happen digitally? I'm not sure. I believe we are not 100% ready. It's still a very tangible medium. You still want to see at the end of it. But I do believe that there will be more digital. There will also be a role for channel partners, like Sanjay was mentioning before, because it's a combination. It's a combination. It's an integration. You get a lot of leads, and then for your engagement, you need a trusted advisor to be able to close out those or execute those transactions. So you will need a combination of both of these. That will increase. Our leads are increasingly coming online. They're increasingly digital. Therefore, one will have to do that. and I see a big role for that. As far as how soon will things change, again, it's we are directly correlated to how the economy will be, and I'm hoping that there will be a sharp recovery in the long run. This is the real estate is in for a good times in the long run, but we have to overcome this 6 months or whatever of the challenge that we face.
Okay, Sanjay, for 2020, do you think that there is we expect a demand and supply mismatch? Do you expect some kind of demand supply mismatch? Because buyers, if economy is slow, and overall buyers feels the crunch of feel the money crunch, do you think that buyers will go and put up go for buying properties, or how are you reading the demand when it comes to when it comes from buyers?
I'll take you back to 2 months after the volatility on the stock markets. That's where a lot of fungible capital, which was seeking opportunities, went to. They've lost it, and they've lost it big time. I personally received calls from people really regretting not buying real estate. Also, the treatment of many housing societies of tenants in the buildings was very unfortunate. I think a lot of tenants, young couples, young boys and girls felt insecure that if they were to navigate through COVID situation, they don't feel secure. They could be asked and they could be thrown out by landlords. So all that has really impacted them. So the mindset is to buy real estate clearly. And the third thing, the dollar rupee situation changed. Dollar became strong. So a lot of NRIs who also felt insecure and lost money in equity markets, and because real estate being attractive because of unsold inventory and very, very attractive prices overall, and ready to move inventory to make things even better, are seeking. So we saw a spike in NRI interest. We saw a spike in the demand overall, unfortunately disrupted by physical lack of movement, and therefore some pause that let this COVID situation come out, because they don't know the extent of damage. Will this lead to job losses and job insecurity? So once again, wait and watch can happen. But if there is a slow and gradual recovery, I have absolute belief, like Mr. Hirandani said, there would be a sharp recovery for residential, because the rationale is more than established. And Murli mentioned about South markets. They are end user market. To the advantage of North markets, Murli, North Indians are very passionate real estate lovers. So they speculate more. It's only a good thing for developers. It's just that they lost mojo in last few years because value is eroded. But even now they are looking at buying opportunities. So I think this will help. The fourth angle, residential yields were low and commercial yields were high. The gap between the yield of commercial and residential has come down. Commercial used to be 10 and 12% yield, and residential used to be 2. Residential is now improving towards 3, at least in key locations, in business locations. And commercial yields have dropped to 7. In fact, retail yields have dropped to 6. But in retail, the commercial borrowing cost is high, and the residential interest has come down to 7.5. So if you were to buy a commercial property, you buy at 10%, but residential you buy at 7.5%. So increasingly, and residential you get a delta of rental yield and capital appreciation. In commercial, you get only rental yield, no capital appreciation or very little cap. So I think this will encourage a lot of even investors who were missing in last 2 years, because they were playing in equity markets. They were flooded. And I think some capital, if not all the capital, will return, just the way a lot of private equity firms are now looking at very attractive valuations in the real estate sector. So I believe there will be a recovery. but one has to get over with this, how we transition. I think the biggest thing this government has achieved by creating a lockdown, which has impacted all of us, is government has managed to get time to prepare to handle COVID. I think most state governments now finally know what they have to do. 1 month ago, they had no clue what they had to do. So now that they know what they have to do and they have a plan and there is a gradual opening, come June, July, we will have another webinar. It would be a healthier situation. Of course, if we go the wrong way and increase cases and deaths, we'll be discussing another long period of lockdown.
Okay. Mr. Murli, traditionally the online marketing and online sales budget for builders have been a very small portion of overall advertising and marketing and sales budget that they have. Do you think because of this situations, even though this will not last long, but overall, if this is successful, the operational cost would be low. So do you think that this kind of budget allocation would increase? And are you seeing this kind of changes in your business model or across the industry?
See, it's not now. See, I mean, in the last few years, the print media has lost its charm. So, I mean, only the cost has gone up. Advertisements in leading newspapers costed heavily, whereas the output was very, very small. So, it's not because of Corona. About 2, 3 years ago, we all moved. The leading developers moved to digital medium. Whether the digital medium is a solution for end-to-end is no as on date. I don't think it'll be particularly on this product. I doubt whether it can be a solution 100%. But this can improve a lot of efficiency. This can, I mean, as I said earlier, we use this complete for lead generation to the documentation process. Then post sales. During sales, we need to have, I mean, physical interaction. Post sales, we are looking at complete digital medium to use this. So maybe about 70% of your chain of activities can be done through digital platform. Still 20-30% you need to have this physical interaction. That's where we see. But cost, yes, definitely cost comes down a lot in this process. So we have already witnessed quite a lot of cost reduction on this. Whereas on the other hand, cost of doing business has gone up. As my friend Niranjan and Sanjay were explaining, cost of doing business across, right from, you know, I mean, in fact, Government of India has taken a very good initiative. They picked up 4 cities, Bombay, Calcutta, Bangalore, and Delhi. They looked at 4 cities to do, I mean, approval, digital approval, online approval in 15 days time. I know I attended some of the meetings here. Housing secretaries from entire people from Delhi came from the housing ministry. There was so much resistance at the state level. They did not allow. I mean, finally, now I told secretary, let's you put a cutoff date, April 1st onwards, that has to be there. Then people came crying, state level. This is a reality, unfortunately. Then Sanjay talked about state governments have managed well. I defer so far. So they've been managing the show well as on date. Now they need to take the next step. See, the opportunities are huge today. Now there has to be a specific task force to be set up to go and attract. See, till today, I mean, there is a good demand. So we need to go and attract investments. We need to go and attract new industries to come and set up. We need to go and see, I mean, we need to bring in, you know, even yesterday, somebody was talking about, I think on one of the television channel, there is a chief secretary, retired chief secretaries group. They meet every Sunday for lunch and do what? Eat. See, what is required to be done? It's not government alone can fix this. There has to be a business approach has to come into this activity. This is an opportunity. Few businessmen, few entrepreneurs who have built business, who have executed things, have to come in along with I mean, bureaucrats who bring in some kind of a extra knowledge. But at the end of the day, it has to be led by a businessman who can seize this opportunity, how to, I mean, take control on this. That's very important. I'm sure, you know, I mean, I've been trying to impress upon some of the known people in the government, get, I mean, people engaged. Then the demand is going to be phenomenal. As I said earlier, 5 trillion can be achieved 1 year ahead of schedule, provided it is driven with a businessman mindset. That's very, very important. Which means, you know, probably I would even say next 2 years, you trust your businessman. Do not bring in any other process in controlling that. Maybe 5% people will still misuse. or 10% people will still misuse. But you'll look at 90% gain. That's very, very important. Rather than you need to trust somebody. See, it's not, I mean, the Prime Minister has been doing phenomenally great job. I mean, the way he has been working, I don't think anybody else in the world is working today, and with a clear intent. But at the end of the day, he needs some people to be trusted. I am only saying that you trust a businessman. Yes, still, 10% will be wrong. 90% will bring prosperity to the nation. That's what I would say.
Okay, Niranjan, in the last few days and weeks, various government officials and industry stakeholders have impressed upon the fact that prices need to be cut from builders and they have to sell at properties at no cost, no profit, no loss, or things like that. How do you read? Do you think that this is financially viable, that builders cut prices during this situation, especially that financially they also have to, look at their maintain their operational costs and etc. Or do you think that eventually it will be the other way around and prices may increase because the overall cost for builders will increase?
The answer is very simple. We are not a charitable organization. Unless you expect all builders to become charitable, they cannot do it at a no profit, no loss. They are bound to make a profit. And in fact, government organizations are also required to make a profit, including banks and financial institutions. So profit as a motive is not considered a bad word, but they are making it into a bad word unnecessarily. Because you can bring down cost and still make profits. But the point is that when you say lower the profit price, first of all, there is a section 43 CA of the Income Tax Act, where if you reduce it more than 10% of the ready reckoner value, you are penalized by 35% income tax both by buyer and seller. So there is a contradiction to the statement made by the government and officials and politicians, and at the same time, the Finance Act doesn't permit you to do it. Having said that, let me answer your question. The answer to the question is very simple, that if some company is over leveraged and definitely they require funds immediately for the purposes of selling their product in order to pay off their debts and other things which are there, and they are over leveraged on it, obviously they will sell at a profit, or they will sell it at a loss, to get it. But other point is also important, which is that if they can make a profit while making sale, it will definitely work out much better than it would be otherwise. So this idea of profit being a bad word is something antagonistic to any business in the world, and including government PSUs. So all they are required to make profits, and if they don't make profits and you expect that government will subsidize, you and I will have to subsidize it like it is taking place in the case of Air India, I think it's unfair to the taxpaying people of India. So let us make profits, but reasonable profits to make the price affordable to the people. That is important. And that is what industry is now achieving. We are making affordable housing. More than 1 crore affordable houses will be made. Mr. Mittal has given us 3 to 4 lakh houses in the NCR, which is affordable. In the Mumbai region, we have more than 2 lakh apartments under construction, which is in the affordable segment. So while you have various segments of society, so it's about the over leverage of any company, which may require him to sell it at a loss, which is fine. If the company is over leveraged, he'll have to do it. But obviously the companies who are here on the panel are not over leveraged, so they have no problem and not likely to reduce and sell it at a loss. But certainly they can, many companies will reduce the prices if the market requires it. Price is not determined by the builder. Price is determined by market. Even the petrol prices of the world is not determined by the king of Saudi Arabia. It's determined by market forces. So don't think that the builders actually determine prices. They're not so big. And in reality, we have to understand that we must create more supply. Mr. Durga Shankar Prasad has shown us many ways and given us ATIP, wherein tax-free nature for affordable housing, and that is working very well. We now only need overall economy, liquidity, and to take care of the situation on the ground level, which is happening across the states. I'm sure we will fall into the right track, and people who want flats will go to people who are over leveraged and certainly get it at a good price. And I'll be very happy that those transactions take place. So positive element in terms of what the future is going to be. But in the short run, yes, those builders will have to reduce prices in order to make sales, because the banks and financial institutions will insist that they should do so.
Okay, now we will open the session for queries that we have from viewers. First is, okay, so I will ask this to Mr. Mittal. What happens to the properties to the home buyers who have bought properties in JP, Unitech, and Amrapali? Do you think that we will be able to get our properties soon? Mr. Mittal, see, a lot of home buyers across NCRs have not just these three projects. Across NCR, there have been many struck projects. How do you think that, because government did create a stress fund, but what has happened at the implementation is not very clear. So, if you can tell us about the situation for the stuck projects and the stress fund, anything about it?
You see, you have named three projects: Unitech, Amarpali, and JP. Niranjan here, we together are working in Unitech, and hopefully you will see some good news after lockdown, or I mean, say after 1 month time. And I'm sure in other projects also, Amarpali, JP, and Unitech, the buyers will get houses. Now, government with the support of Supreme Court has established three different models for delivery of these houses. These are almost 1 lakh houses. If we take 50,000 houses of Amarpali, 30,000 houses of JP, and 20,000 to 18,000 of Unitech. Government has appointed independent board in case of JP, Unitech. In case of JP, they have, in case of Amarpali, Supreme Court has assigned this job to NBCC, not as a company, as a project manager, and Supreme Court themselves is providing funds. And in third case, through IBC, another company, say in this case JP, NBCC has taken over. So with these three different model, I'm sure people will get houses, and not very soon, but definitely in 1 year to 3 years time, in all three categories, people will get houses. But you have raised another issue, stress fund. Niranjan Hiranandani is working very hard on that. But I have one question, and which I have raised to government also, that real, I mean, fruit of this mechanism, all the developers have not seen. And the reason is still this has been controlled by the bureaucrats and bankers. There should be some people from the fraternity side also, some veteran person who can identify the real projects where stress funds are required, last mileage funding is required. So this government has to see on this, and they have to include some of the people from the fraternity.
Sanjay, now the question is, how do you think luxury properties segment will do in the current scenario? Now we know that affordable housing is seeing a push from government side, and this is the one where we expect that most of the sales and most of the movement will happen. But that question makes sense. How do you see that luxury segment will perform?
You see, luxury is predominantly niche, unless, of course, you started as a developer, affordable and mid segment, but by the time you finish, by price increase, it became luxury. So I'm counting that out. But we have a project called Trithwam in Kochi, which is 2.5 crore a unit. It wasn't doing so well last 2 years, but after many projects were razed to the ground because they were violating CRZs and others were compliant, there is a spike in demand. And like I said earlier, even the NRIs have come back wanting. So they're spending 2.5 crore. Last year, we also reached out to Army Welfare Housing Association, and we offered our Jawans some discount so that we can contribute, because even they need to live after retirement in private homes. We saw a very good response, and we were surprised that some of those officers were buying 1.5 to 2 crore in our Dwarka project in Gurgaon. Likewise, everywhere else. So we experimented with 4 or 5 models and we saw a spike. The third is a rationale. You see, rich people or financially well-off people can always buy. So they're not worried about minor setbacks to the economy, etc., because they're financially off. However, they don't want to be seen as not so smart. They want to take a wise decision, and that's why, by the way, they become rich in the first place. So I think they are smart. They have realized that they put a lot of money in equity markets which did not grow. They lost it, and they are looking at some good opportunities. We have a beautiful property in Connaught Place, which we have started working on. It's called Two Haley Road. And the interest I see is tremendous. And we have one project coming up in Andheri West, which will be up 30,000 rupees per square feet. So not a small ticket. So we believe the demand will remain, but it is increasingly niche. It's not a volume driven.
Okay.
But when you count the value contribution, it is a significant part. So not by units, but by value. So 20-30% of this country would still be in mid to higher segment overall.
Okay, unfortunately, we are running out of time. Last, very briefly, Murli, if you can, because we have got a lot of queries on the price correction. Even though I asked Mr. Niranjan about it, do you think that price correction is a possibility from builders' side? Very quickly.
No, I expect prices to move up in the next 6 to 12 months time, because there is a logic behind this, particularly in the mid-market and affordable housing segment. The supply is drying up. And this corona, again, as Niranjan said, but for the financial package, a lot of other developers will see a lot of difficulties. And I don't expect, as we speak today, big financial package support from the government at this point of time. Hence, the developers, good number of developers will go through suffering. People who are stressed already, people who have got a weak balance sheets, they will suffer. That means, to that extent, supply will be off the table. So only few people who have got a good balance sheet, good financial capability, only their projects will come into place. So hence the supply will come down. On the other hand, we see the demand is going up today, particularly on the mid-market and affordable housing segment. Demand is going up sharply. The work from home and all that, I doubt whether it will work soon in India. Maybe it's quite far away. So it's only a temporary phenomena. People are talking about it. So I see office space, demand shooting up. In fact, we have a large tech park in Chennai. In the last 2 months time, I received suddenly good number of inquiries. They are looking at this a time to lock in, get a good deal. So office space demand is going up on one hand, so which will increase the residential space demand. So we expect the prices to move up. Maybe buyers should not miss this opportunity. They should go and buy now, so that they don't end up paying higher price 1 year later. This is what we view today.
Okay. Great. Thank you everyone for joining us. This has been very insightful. We have to now move on to next panel. So thank you for joining us.